Hey there, I'm JJ. Thanks for tuning into the channel. My whole mission here is to help first time growers get from zero to their first harvest, okay? This is actually my first video. For the longest time I've been thinking about doing this, but I didn't really have a good topic to start out with, and now I do, guys, okay? So I'm gonna show you some things and I'm gonna tell you why I made this video, okay? Got a few things here with me. One, a spore syringe, okay? Two, a freshly harvested mushroom. Beautiful, it's beautiful, quite nice looking, I might add. Healthy, healing. This one happens to be Amazonian. There's a lot more where that came from, guys. Now, why am I showing you this? Why am I telling you this? If you want to get from here to here, okay, you do not need agar, especially if you're a first timer. Now I'm going to explain this and why this whole video came about. I try to help people, with growing. I teach people how to grow, and I was in some forums and I asked them, I just asked the whole forum, kind of an AMA style thing. I said, guys, if you're a first timer that wants, is trying to grow, you want to grow, and you haven't pulled the trigger, you haven't got there yet, like, what's stopping you? And I was just so shocked by all the responses that came in involving agar. So many people said, agar seems so complicated, or I'm having trouble with agar. I don't know what to get for my agar. And everyone kept, not everyone, but a lot of people just kept talking about agar and like saying that agar was the thing keeping them from going from zero to their first harvest of mushrooms. Okay, so I felt so compelled to make this video, guys, because I have really good news for you. You don't need agar at all, period. You can just completely eliminate it. I grow tons of mushrooms. I have been for a long time, guys, and there was a period where I used a lot of agar, but now I literally do not even use agar at all. So even if you're an advanced grower, like myself, you don't need agar, okay? And if you're a beginner grower, you don't need agar, okay? I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what agar is good for, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about why, especially as a first timer, you don't need it, okay? So agar is just a medium. It's just like a little plate, a little cup of kind of nutrient that you can put mushroom spores on, and they'll grow on there and you can keep them preserved. And the reason why we use agar in mycology, there's a couple different reasons. One way you can use it is simply to just preserve spores or genetics. So like, let's say you grow some mushrooms and you really like the way they turned out. You can take a little bit of that fresh mushroom, put it on agar, and then it'll grow some mycelium on that agar, and then you can just keep that. Not indefinitely, but for a long time, it'll last. And so that's one way, preservation. Okay, that's one reason why we use agar. But again, as a beginner, as a first timer, you don't need that because you don't have anything to preserve, okay? You're trying to just go from zero to first time harvest. So there's nothing to preserve, so you don't need agar for that reason, okay? And the other reason why we use agar in mycology is having to do with isolating genetics, okay? Because mushrooms are way different than regular plants. With regular plants, if you want to clone a species, clone a certain strain of a plant or isolate it, it's way easier. With mycology, we have to actually sort of go through this long involved process where we grow a thing multiple times, like it has to go through a long iteration, and then you can isolate specific genetics. Okay, and that's where Agar comes really, really in handy, guys, because it's just a really easy way to do work with mushroom genetics. But again, that is like a very advanced topic. Okay, that's something that beginner mycologists have really no business trying to do that, because, you know, again, first of all, if you've never grown mushrooms before, you don't have anything to try to isolate or preserve. There's just no reason at all why you need this. Okay, so now this video is getting kind of long. I don't want to make this video too terribly long, but I'm just going to show you, I'm going to use my props here, and I'm going to show you kind of the basic process at the beginning that you have to go through, and why it just doesn't involve Agar at all, and why you can just forget about Agar. Okay, so okay, got my spores. All right, got my mushroom. So the thing I have to do at the beginning is take my spores, okay, and I have to put them on some grain. Okay, the grain has to be prepared correctly. This grain isn't, this is just raw grain. I haven't prepped this yet, but basically I have to put these spores in this grain, and then if I've cooked and sterilized my grain correctly, I'm going to end up with this whole jar being full of healthy, well-established mushroom mycelium. Then I can move on to the next stage, which is spawning that out into a substrate, and then eventually fruiting. Okay, but the first step always in any mushroom grow is you got to take your spores, unless you already have mycelium. If you already have mycelium, you can use a little piece of the mycelium you already have. But again, if you're a first timer, which is who this video is intended for, you don't already have mycelium. So you're going from spores, guys. You're going to take spores, put them in your grain, and then your grain colonizes with mycelium. Boom, you move on to the next steps. Okay, and there's no part of this process at all that requires Agar. It's actually just like an extra step if you're a beginner, because if you have Agar, you know, a lot of the people were getting caught up on how to make their Agar, what to do, what to order, how to prepare it. It's like, let's just say you know how to make Agar and you have the Agar plates ready to go and you're not stuck. It's still an extra step, because you have to take these spores and then put them in the Agar, and then you kind of have to wait a while for them to, you know, grow a little bit, and then you have to take some piece of the Agar and put it in here. So at the end of the day, guys, you're still just trying to get your mushroom spores from here to here. So you don't need Agar. And just to sum it all up, I'm going to end the video here, guys. It's getting kind of long, but just to sum it all up, if you're a first-time grower, okay, that's who this video is intended for. Forget Agar. It's just, there's a lot of, you know, mushroom growing is, you know, it's not hard, but there's a lot of ways you can mess up. And the key to getting there fast and easily, and boosting your confidence so that you continue to keep going with this hobby, is getting a success early on. Okay, you know, I've seen a lot of growers like go through a whole bunch of long process, and you know, they're waiting months and they just fail and fail and fail, contamination, all sorts of problems, and they give up. They give up because they never got that win that they really needed in the beginning. They never got that first harvest that if they got that would have kept them going. Okay, and that's what I want for all of you watching this video, is I want you on your very first time to go from this to this. Okay? And so forget Agar. You don't need it. It's just unnecessarily complicating everything for you. I hope this video helped you. Guys, I have a private Facebook group where I'm very active in there all the time, and I'm putting out a lot of great information. So if you're interested in that, you can find it. I'll put a link to it in the video description, okay? I hope this helped. I'm JJ. See you next time.